I'd like to call to order the Monday, January 8th meeting of the regular school committee. Deb, would you please call the order?
Mr. Agia?
Here.
Mr. Bailey?
Here.
Mr. Corey? Ms. Larrabee? Here. Ms. Pereira? Ms. Rodrick?
Here.
Mayor Coogan?
Here. Salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made whether perceived or unperceived by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. Citizens input?
There is none this
None?
evening.
Okay. Recognition awards, we don't have any tonight also. Item number 4 is the subcommittee reports. Up first is Mr. Aguiar, the Special Ed Alternative Education Early Childhood Subcommittee.
Thank you very much. We had a very successful meeting. Dr. Bronhardt and Mrs. Ponce proceeded to assist us with some of the information that we had asked for related to the RPA. Excuse me. There's a lot of things happening there with, we have a consultant that's in, looking at some of the stuff. I'm going to be making some recommendations at the end of the year. So we did request a lot more information that I'm sure will be forthcoming as we go. We did dive into some of the org chart, which I thought was an interesting thing that we need to do for all, I think for all departments. But we had a robust discussion about all things alternative education, and I look forward to getting the further information. The RPA is getting staffed up, is a summary, and I think that we're going to see how things proceed. Lastly, the second trimester, there's some plans in place to do some things differently than have happened at the beginning of the year. So I look forward to reporting back after the next meeting where we have more information. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aguiar. Instructional Subcommittee, Ms. Larrabee, Chairman.
Thank you, Mayor. The Instructional Subcommittee met on last Thursday, January 4th at 5:30. All subcommittee members were present, Mr. Aguiar, Ms. Pereira, myself. That was also a very informative subcommittee. On the agenda was a discussion to vote and refer the new I Decide curriculum. It's a drug education curriculum. Also on the agenda was to discuss, vote, and refer Math Academy and Durfee's Program of Studies. The committee voted to refer all three to the full committee. The last item on the agenda was just a discussion on all the platform usage. That is Mathia, ST Math, Illustrative, Lexia, Ignite, Ingenuity, Paper, and Gizmos. All supporting materials for the full committee are able to review in board docs. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Larrabee. Any questions? Thank you. Item number 5 is the superintendent's report. Superintendent Ponce.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For this month, for our hiring update, as of the last meeting, we have hired 12 teachers, 1 administrator, 9 paraprofessionals, 2 educational support staff, and 7 operational staff. In total, we've had 31 new hires since our last meeting. Conversely, on the other side, we have lost 14 staff members, 6 teachers, 1 administrator, 3 paraprofessionals, 2 educational support staff, and 2 operational staff. We currently have positions that are posted up on our website. Again, our highest need, special education, continues to be a priority. ESL, we do have 4 math positions posted and 5 science positions also. We are utilizing staffing agencies for some placements as we try to hire permanent staff for those openings. And currently, we also have 29 paraprofessional positions that are posted. We do have 2 informational meetings on the special education and ESL certification program scheduled for this month for the CERT program. We have a significant increase in spring enrollments in our graduate program coursework, and we now have over 100 staff participating in the course reimbursement program. And we have another cohort of students making arrangements for student teaching assignments. And of course, as we assess them, our intent is that they will be recruited for open positions for this coming school year. We're currently planning recruitment events for both February and for April. That's it for hiring. And we also have an update. As you know, we've been doing some remediation at Laterno. So we actually have a meeting scheduled with Mr. Michon, the leadership of the school, the Health and Safety Committee, our administrators, so we can review the latest results. But just wanted to give you an update as to what's been done thus far. On October 23rd, 2023, classrooms, multiple classrooms and outside rear of the building were sampled and inspected for mold particles by H2O EnviroComp. The results were received and analyzed on October 31st. On November 17th and 18th, Service Master South Shore performed work in classrooms, several classrooms outside the rear of the building. They cleaned and disinfected the HVAC system by air restorations. It contained affected classrooms, removed area rugs from affected classrooms, air polished classrooms with fans and air scrubbers, damp wiped surfaces and contents in the classrooms. Post-testing was completed and analyzed on November 19th. And also on November 19th, classrooms, more classrooms outside of the rear of the building were sampled and inspected for mold particles. Results were received and analyzed on November 21st. On November 19th, again, a visual inspection was also done for multiple classrooms. And on December 18th, air samples and 28 tape lifting samples, as well as a visual inspection, were taken in multiple areas of the school. We are meeting, as I said, on Thursday at 3 o'clock with the team from Laterno, as well as their FREA leadership, so that we can review the results and also review the work that's been done and that we will continue to do to make sure that that building is safe for staff and for students. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Any questions? Mr. Aguirre?
If I could just get I know you gave a summary there, but if we could get a cost summary of how much it's been
Okay, sure.
from the start, and the issue of in-house versus professionals or like different companies, just so that we can
Yes.
sort of see what's going on there. And also, we had our first storm
Yes.
last night, obviously, and I know you reported that the schools were in good shape. What I would like to get is a summary of the overtime or whatever the costs were for the storm, including the number of apparatus that were used and where they came from.
I actually, we will get you the costs, absolutely. I will say, I want to commend our staff, our custodial and ground staff for, our buildings were prepared down to the pavement, ready to go. They really were. And, but I sent an update at the end of the day, just a quick update as to what we did for cleanup, and we brought people in. We actually used 2 subcontractors to help out with some of the cleaning, but our crews did an outstanding job. We'll get you that information for tomorrow.
One further question. I know at the last meeting, we talked about the, excuse me, the custodians and cutting grass. That was an issue, but I don't believe anything has changed with the snow removal. So is it all hands on deck as far as what the custodians' responsibilities are?
Custodians were...
The grass is different, correct?
Correct. The custodians were. I know for a fact that custodians went in yesterday. Many of our custodians, not 100% of them, but many of our custodians came in early last night and to start the process early to clean up. So they were shoveling and cleaning.
Yeah, I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page so that it's not, I know I've been a proponent of the grass piece, but the snow, I think, was a different story.
Absolutely.
Thank you, I yield.
Item number 7 is the approval of the minutes. Could I get a motion to approve the regular school committee minutes from the 12-11 meeting?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on those minutes? Deb, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Aguirre?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey? Mr. Corey? Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Ms. Pereira? Ms. Roderick?
Yes.
Mayor Coogan?
Yes. We have a number of travel requests under item 8. Is there any discussion on any of the travel requests? Hearing none, I'm looking for a motion to approve all.
Motion to approve all.
Second.
And a second. Any discussion on a travel request? Deb, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Aguirre?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey? Yes. Mr. Corey? Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Ms. Pereira? Ms. Roderick?
Yes.
Mayor Coogan?
Yes. Item number 9 is the acceptance of donations. We have 2 tonight. Again, looking for a motion and a second on the approving of the 2 donations.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Deb, would you call the roll?
Mr. Aguirre?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey? Mr. Corey? Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Ms. Pereira? Ms. Roderick?
Yes.
Mayor Coogan?
Yes. Ms. Ponce?
Yes. So from Meditech to Fall River Public Schools, the amount of $20,000 donation. Thank you very much. And on behalf of the Fine Arts Department, Miss Jackie Francisco from Mass Cultural Council, $2,500. Thank you both for your generosity.
Thank you. Item 10 is the approval of grants. We have a number of them, again, as we always do. Any hold on the, I take that back, we have the one special ed program. Any discussion on that grant? Hearing none, could I get a motion? A
Motion
second?
to approve.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. Deb, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Aguirre?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey? Yes. Mr. Corey? Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Ms. Pereira? Ms. Roderick?
Yes.
Mayor Coogan?
Yes. Item number 11, the approval of contracts. We have a number of new ones, and we have some continuations. Do I hear any discussion on any of the contract amounts? Mr. Aguirre, which one would you like to hold,
If you
please?
could have, I'd like to hear from the superintendent on the South Coast hospitals.
South Coast Hospitals, excluding South Coast Hospitals. Any other discussion? Looking for a motion and a second to approve the others?
Motion approved.
I have a
Second.
Motion, second. Any discussion? Deb, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Aguirre?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey? Yes. Mr. Aguirre? I'm sorry, Mr. Corey? Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Ms. Pereira? Ms. Roderick?
Yes.
Mayor Coogan?
Yes. Mr. Aguirre on South Coast Hospitals, please.
I would just like, we had tabled this to get some more info. I'd like to hear from the superintendent on what she found and her recommendation.
Yes, so we surveyed staff. Mr. Coogan sent out a survey to staff about about services, and that this is about the Employee Assistance Program and accessing those services. As a result of the data that we collected, we are recommending that we continue for this year, and then look to see what other options there are for the following year, moving forward. But the data that we collected was positive, that people found it of value, the support that they got from it.
So my concern, as I've said all along, is that we passed these things before so the date on it's October 1. I think you're acknowledging that fact that it's already been in existence, so I'll make a motion to approve with the caveat that next year we're going to go out to bid for the same services.
Right.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on South Coast Hospitals? Hearing none. Deb, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Aguirre?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey? Yes. Mr. Corey? Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Ms. Pereira? Ms. Roderick?
Yes.
Mayor Coogan? Mayor Coogan?
Yes. Committee of the Whole. 12-1 is a vote to approve the election of the Vice Chairman of the Fall River School Committee. Nominations for the Vice Chairman will be made from the floor. The Vice Chairman will be elected by a majority roll call vote of the members present and voting. Are there any nominations? Mr. Bailey?
I'm not nominating myself, but I would like to propose to make Mimi Larrabee the vice chair of the...
Nomination for Mimi Larrabee. Any other nominations? Hearing none. Deb, can you call the roll on
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Aguirre?
Just want to state that a year ago or so, Ms. Larrabee and I had a conversation about her wanting to be the vice chair. And at that time, there was a few things that we talked about that needed to happen in order for me to give her my vote. Some of the things we talked about were asking questions, not just trying to hold people accountable, that it was part of the duties of the school committee. It was to not be a rubber stamp, and it was to keep the agendas on point and on time, and making sure that we were flowing through all of the communication that needs to be happening, as well as timelines. And I'm not going to be supporting her today for that reason. I don't believe that any of those three have been followed this year as far as leadership on this committee. And I'm going to just give one case in point why I think this is very clear. We, at this time, on January 8th, still haven't evaluated the superintendent. In the contract, it called for an evaluation in August. We all indicated we were going to do this when the MCAS scores came out. Here we are, January 8th, we still do not have the evaluation on. To me, that's not holding anyone accountable, and we ask our staff, we ask our principals to do that with our people, and we're not doing the same here as the leadership on this school committee. So with that, I'm not going to be supporting her. I yield.
Thank you. Deb, would you call the roll for Ms. Larrabee, please?
Mr. Aguirre?
No.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Corey? Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Ms. Pereira? Ms. Rodericks?
No.
Mayor Coogan?
Yes. Congratulations, Ms. Larrabee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate it. Thank you, Bobby.
Discussion item 12.2 is a vote to approve the second read of the budget priorities as presented by Maria Ponce, Superintendent of Schools. Go ahead.
What you have here is the draft. These, again, I just want to remind you, we brought this last month to the committee as a first read. These are the buckets where I am proposing that, based on feedback from survey data, where we put our investments in. Again, and I understand it was brought, like, some of this looks very similar, and it should look similar because it's about deepening the work. So we are investing in our human resources. We have some priorities that need to take place. We are going into negotiations where we need to prioritize supporting our staff. We need to continue to enhance the work that we do in professional development and growing our people. We need to invest in our programming. I know that Assistant Superintendent Obenchain is assessing our programs for special education, and we are making some restructuring decisions there. We also have to invest in our multilingual learners to make sure that we are supporting them appropriately. That's going to require some shifting, so there's going to be some investment there. Again, instruction, yes, we do need to get results. We have made some tremendous investments in curriculum and professional development, and we need to continue to deepen that work so that we are getting some results from the core that we are investing in, and continuing to build our students and building them up with options for beyond college and career and beyond. Students of SEL continues to be a priority. I think everybody will agree that we need to support our students' social emotional needs, mental health needs, and then we need to do some facilities capital improvements, as well as explore some options for with our facilities, current facilities, and we do have some work to do with HVAC upgrading, bringing everybody up to date. Safety and security is paramount, and the instructional technology. We've put technology in everybody's hands. We need to now have a plan to maintain that technology, to enhance that, and to have a cycle for continuing to keep state-of-the-art technology in our adults as well as our students' hands. So with that, these are the proposed buckets for investments, budget investments.
Any discussion on the priorities? Mr. Aguirre.
So I mentioned last meeting that I think this is a little ahead of the game, especially when we haven't done the analysis, the evaluations, and the like. But one thing that just stands out to me is that under the facilities and operations section, where it says district-wide roof condition survey and capital planning, for free, I'll be able to tell you that we need a new roof at the Pay Center. As I've said, we don't need a survey, but we know we need it. We've needed it for over a year. I believe one of the members sent a the email, a picture showing that the water was leaking right through the roof. We just had the other issue with the auditorium. So when I look at something like this, I say, well, it seems to me, maybe I'm wrong, that we're not going to do anything even when we know it's an issue because we need to do a survey. Some things are here, we have money now, we should be putting these things on the agenda now so that we can actually get these things done rather than having it wait as a budget priority. It just stands out to me that we have some needs. When you look at all the other sections, when there's needs, we're actually acting on them with the, like you mentioned, special education, SEL work, we're actually doing those things now. So I'm going to vote for this as a priority, but I think we should expedite the priority to be in the current fiscal year would be my recommendation. I yield. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Can I get a motion and a second?
Motion approved.
I got a motion, Mr. Aguirre. Can I get a second?
Second.
A motion second. Deb, could you please call the roll on item 12.2, the budget priorities?
Mr. Aguirre?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Corey? Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Ms. Pereira? Ms. Rodrick? Mayor Coogan?
Yes. 12.3 is discussion and vote to approve the program of studies course catalog at Durfee High School as referred by the instructional subcommittee and presented by Matt Damaris, principal of Durfee High School.
Mr. Damaris is ill,
Okay.
so he's not present here. This program of studies went before the subcommittee and was referred. However, I will say, if I could,
Sure.
just take,
Go
I
ahead.
will say that one of the questions there was a valid point that we needed to research and look at was about different options for students who need some credit recovery, need to do some alternative work, alternative pathways, which was taken out of the program of studies a few years back. There were some very specific options. Certainly, we as a team have gone and reviewed research to go back to previous program of studies to find that language and to look at all those options as well as what we are proposing. And I will say, with the committee's permission, what I would like to do is I would ask that the program of studies was referred, if that could be accepted, voted on. And what I would like to do is for us, for our team, we started this work, we'd like to complete this work this month and bring an addendum with specific options clarifying what's available to our kids, how to access it, and then that would be an addendum to the program of studies with permission from the committee.
I say motion to approve with the addendum presented by superintendent.
Next month. The
Next
addendum
month,
will be-
yeah.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on Durfee program of studies? Mr. Aguirre.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time finding where it says evolve in here. Like there's a section
There is.
specifically on that. And I want to say that I support the evolve program. And we have moved over the past several years to move that program from one place to another. And a lot of times they talk about that's the actual alternative or
It's one of them.
pathway, whatever, for the school. And somewhere in here, it also talks about, when it talks about the Evolve being part of Durfee, I'm of the belief that a lot of the things that are happening in the Evolve program help kids. That's why it's a successful program. And that's why it costs a little bit more money if we did a cost-benefit analysis to do that. Part of my big concern is that we haven't done that for all students at Durfee. So when we look at the things that Evolve is doing differently, just educating differently, kids need not a one-size-fits-all, we're not doing that across the rest of the curriculum and the rest of the handbook or the rest of the school. One of the pieces that I know we talked about was the 10th grade. Students shouldn't have to wait till 10th grade in order to, wherever it said in here about an Evolve advisor, let's say. So the Evolve advisor meets with their students, and I'm paraphrasing, it meets with their students daily, talk about advising, whatever. It seems like something that's very good for students that need that type of intervention. But that doesn't happen across the whole school as one example. And I'm not looking to have a debate over it. I appreciate what you're saying. Those are just some of my concerns related to sitting here for years. You were there when things were taken out. I just want to try to make sure that we are providing an opportunity for all kids, including explaining what, to a parent. That's the point of a program of studies, is that they can read it, they can say, my child has the following troubles, this is how they can get help. And they shouldn't have to like pick through this to figure it out, or wait for somebody in the school to actually say, well, maybe this is a program. I personally know students that are in ninth grade, were in ninth grade, could have used Evolve, weren't even offered it because they said it doesn't start till grade 10, and guess what? Now they're not going to be in any school in a year. They got 2 credits for the entire year, a freshman year, and said, oh, we can't use you in Evolve because of that. So my issues are basically that. I appreciate the information that you're going to present, so I will be supporting this at this time, and I appreciate the fact that you're going to come back to us, but I wanted to articulate that. Those are the real issues that I see. I yield.
Anything further? Hearing none, Deb, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Agia?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Corey? Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Ms. Pereira? Ms. Roderick?
Yes.
Mayor Coogan?
Yes. 12.4 is a discussion and vote to approve the Carnegie Learning Math Academy contract as referred by the Instructional Subcommittee and presented by Cheryl Patterson, Director of Math, and Dr. Tracy Curley, Assistant Superintendent, Chief Academic Officer.
Motion approved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion, a second. Any discussion on the Carnegie Learning Math Academy? Hearing none, I'll let Deb call the roll.
Mr. Agia?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Corey? Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Ms. Pereira? Ms. Roderick?
Yes.
Mayor Coogan?
Yes. 12.5 is a discussion and vote to approve the ID-Side Drug Education Curriculum Intervention, Diversion, and Empowerment.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on 12.5. Any discussion on 12.5? Dr. Roderick.
Could we just get an explanation so folks
Sure.
at home could understand?
Presented by Dr. Bronhard. Could you come up and tell us what this program is, please?
Sorry.
It's a Monday. I don't have questions. I just want other folks to know, like the public to understand what this program is, because I think this is something that folks have been asking about for a long time.
Perfect, thank you. So I wanted to also be able to give a shout out to my teammates. Claudia Costa, over the course of the fall, has been instrumental in checking in with principals, really looking to address the issues that we've seen with an uptick of usage around vaping, smoking, marijuana, alcohol, tobacco. A number of programs that are out there require extensive training, but they are very specialized in addressing a particular addiction. The piece that we liked about I Decide is that it is a universal program, and it really gets to supporting our kids with understanding the choices that they're making and how some of the risky behaviors, whether it's alcohol, drugs, marijuana, and everything of the like, and what we don't know yet to come. So it really helps our kids. The I Decide curriculum can be used to support students using alcohol or any other drug. The curriculum itself includes a four core modules that cover topics such as brain development, neurobiology of addiction, drug effects, industry tactics, risk and protective factors, motives for use, triggers and healthy alternatives, core values, wellness, and long-term goal setting. So it is our goal to train our staff here in the district February 9th. It is an extensive 8-hour training. The group, the organization, this comes from a collaboration between Mass General Hospital and the Department of Public Health. They are willing to come down to the South Coast, which we are excited about because all of the trainings have historically been up in the Boston area. So they are going to look to come down and train up some of our staff so that we can use this program as an alternative to suspension. And or as a one-on-one opportunity for students, depending upon, what kids are navigating. But it is a free program to us, so we are excited to dig into the work and really be able to provide something of substance so that we are educating our students as they're getting themselves caught up with risky behavior.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
I yield.
And just also to note too, we also, as we do know that the Youth Court program also has a vape prevention program. So this will serve as another prevention tool that we can use. This program specifically targets students in grades 6 to 12, but as we know, the Youth Court program will work with any age student. So we are excited about that opportunity. So now we have a couple of programs within the district that we can use as alternatives to educate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. Is this going to be a standalone course, Amy, or is this going to be in our health programs?
It's going to be a standalone course. At this point, we have not talked about rolling this out as a Tier 1 program. This is a Tier 2 or a Tier 3 program.
Mr. Aguirre?
Just on that question, it also was stated at the meeting, excuse me, that we need a comprehensive K-12 program, curriculum, not just a little window, and the Director of Health and PE was there to talk about that, so there is some plans in place. I believe he stated for the record that he was going to have one by the end of by recommendation for September, by the end of June, and I think that's basically what everyone knows we need. It's just a high time that we need to do it right away, so thank you, I yield.
Hey, I got just another question. What's the targeted grade level on this?
Grades 6 to 12,
Is this going to RPA also?
the whole district.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
awesome.
Anything further? Is that a vote? No.
Yes, it is.
I have a motion, a second. Deb, we already voted, or
No, I need to
could
do a
you call the
call.
roll, please?
Yep. Mr. Agia?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey? Mr. Corey? Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Ms. Pereira? Ms. Roderick? Mayor Coogan?
Yes. 12:06 is discussion update on the Durfee Auditorium by myself. So what I will tell you is that we had Mount Vernon Associates who's devising the plan to repair the roof on the roof, I believe, again last week. I'm not sure if it was last week or the week before. We also had Al Oliveira and Josh Barroso from the city up there checking the water leak that Mr. Aguirre was referring to. They were able to temporarily patch something faulty that was around one of the drains. It's our intention to bring to the committee, just for informational purposes, obviously, when the plan is done by Mount Vernon, we'll have an idea on the cost and the extent of work necessary to fix that roof once and for the next 20 years, we hope. Any questions?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course, Mr. Aguirre.
So my question is on the Pace Center, more so than the roof. And I think that's some of my heartache when we put a lot of money into the Pace Center, that we're including them all, and the other project is bigger. But I just would like an explanation of why we just don't have a new roof on that section. Is
That
it
one section.
physically not, like, is there another reason?
I couldn't tell you. They're pricing out the entire roof. You make a good point, because I know that is the new section of the building, and I will try to get your clarification, and I will give you a call or send you something tomorrow. Because I didn't think of segmenting it like that, but maybe that's something we can do. I don't want to patch it again, because it's been patched a number of times. So what you're saying is that long stretch where Pace is that standalone enough to do as one strip, Mr. Pacheco? The new section? I know there's a wall up to some windows in the auditorium. But as Mr. Aguirre said, can you stand alone that strip?
So it does, it's a tiered roof. There's 2 or 3 different levels, maybe 4 different levels of that roof. The special ed section of the roof and the PACE are one level right across, and then it does transition as it turns the corner in the old
Volk.
the old carpentry, the old environmental science wing. So that is all the same level of that roof, and then it transitions after that.
The auditorium.
Exactly.
You've been on that roof. Is that part over the Pace shot?
It's one of the worst sections.
Okay.
I mean, the auditorium is bad
But that's
because
worse.
it's splitting in different
Okay.
spots, but the PACE section and the special ed section
Well, I kind of...
looks really, really
I tend to
bad.
agree with Mr. Aguirre. If Mount Vernon has that section done, maybe we can move on that right away.
I think the only issue you'll have if you do that is you're going to lose the economy of scale.
Yeah.
So if someone's bidding a roof and it's, 60,000 square feet, or they're bidding a roof that's 30,000 square feet, those are 2 different price
Prices,
ranges
I got you.
and 2 different contractors who would get involved.
Okay.
It would be worth, exploring, and I'm sure Mount
Excellent.
Vernon can give you some information on that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Pacheco. Anything further on the roof, Ms. Rodrick?
Just to comment on that, if the Pace Center roof is really in such disrepair, that's where our families are coming in at first glance. And so, I would think that that should probably be a priority for us because we want to give families at least, a strong first impression that when they're walking in, that the roof isn't leaking and falling apart in there. So I'm just throwing my 2 cents in about that.
My best guess is that no matter how you design it, it's going to be done in sections anyway. So we can prioritize that they start in, if
Where
there's 5
fit-
separate roofs, then it'd be 5 separate, sections that you would start, especially if that construction is going to start within the winter months,
Yeah.
which we're hoping that we can get moving relatively quickly. It won't, the section is bad enough over Pace and special ed, but the rest of it's not far behind.
Right, so
So-
if it's pretty bad over there, I would argue that we should probably prioritize that because that's where our people are, our families and our staff. And so to protect our both groups of folks, then that should probably be our priority. I yield.
Mr. Aguirre?
Yeah, just another thought. Obviously, I've been mentioning this all the time, so it's like a broken record, but the issue that, the way I see it is, I believe the indirect cost agreement that we have says anything over $150,000 that the city will pay. I think that's sort of where we're at with, we need to lay this stuff on the table now. So if that's over 150,000 and that Mount Vernon does this, I'm guessing that this is a city expense? Is that the Mount Vernon, or did we approve that?
No, we haven't done any approvals on that roof whatsoever.
So is Mount Vernon
So Mount Vernon
scheduled, or how?
Mount Vernon is doing a design right now.
No, that's what I meant, the design, like, is that something that we did?
We didn't authorize that.
Through the city. Through the
Right,
city.
so
Through
is the
the
city
city.
going to pay for the new roof at the main auditorium? Would be my question.
My thought is we will, depending on, as we had a meeting the other day with the school department, what ends up going in the other sections, we had a discussion about. That's neither here nor there. The main point is, as you said, getting Pace done and getting a roof on there and build from there. Following right behind that, Mr. Aguirre, is fire suppression. It's got to be done. It's another big expense, but we're trying to do this to the best of our ability right now. Again, we had a good meeting the other day. The city will not walk away from this building. I think we can get it done relatively quickly. Again, Mount Vernon was on that roof within the last 2 weeks, and I talked to Al Oliveira today, and I want to see the plan. Let's go see what it's going to cost us.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be expensive, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's going to be
not
expensive, chunk.
cheap. The reason why I say that is that as we continue to go on, if there's going to be a debate over who's going to pay for this 3 months from now when they come back to us, and then that's going to last, unless something else, the city has this money that they're going to be able to fund, I just don't see, it's going to keep continuing. And all I could stress is that the Pace Center is something that we're using every day for our people. So we should really just say, like, almost like that's a school building, like separate. And the auditorium is something separate. So I personally would take a vote to spend money on the roof section, even regardless of the 150,000. Like, I think that's something that's our responsibility. And if the city wants to keep the other building and spend whatever millions of dollars it's going to cost, that's a separate vote. But I'm ready to vote today to tell you to do that piece. So
Well, I could probably would say you're 100% correct. I was told that we would have the price within the next week or two. I asked Mr. Oliveira today, I said, where do they stand? He said they should be getting back to us within the next week or two. But I will call him in the morning and say, break down the estimate into the different sections, which I think is valid, and then we'll have something to talk about.
yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay.
Thank you. I yield.
12.7 is discussion and vote to approve the second quarter transfer as presented by Kevin Almeida, Chief Financial Officer. Mr. Almeida.
Good evening. In front of you is the second quarter budget transfer. I have provided you with the quarterly report in the backup, along with what the transfer that's being proposed, and I've provided you where the cost center appropriations will land after the transfer, and I've provided you with every explanation for every transfer over $50,000. The transfers across all the cost centers total $617,000. If you have any specific questions, please let me know, but I'm requesting your approval tonight.
Any questions for Mr. Almeida? Mr. Aguirre?
And on number 4, which is the community partnerships, I know that that's, I think, just the way it was always paid out of the school committee cost center.
Yep.
I think that's very deceiving to the public, that it looks like as if the school committee has a line item budget for that. I think that that should be changed to possibly under the SEL, under Dr. Bronhardt, since she presented most of these situations.
Okay.
As far as I'm concerned, the school committee cost center should be the $7,000 that each of us makes, period. And when we had a controversy over whether we deserve to get equal pay to the city council, nobody wanted to hear it, that it was not 1 cent was going to come from the city. Well, when we do things like this, it makes it very confusing. It should be very clear that we have $7,000 for each of us, and that's it. So that the public can see it, the city council can see it, the mayor can see it, that we're not looking at we have this huge budget. And I think that's going to articulate the point that we don't have anything in our budget. It's strictly our $7,000, which is only less than half of what the city council gets. So I'd like to make a motion to approve these, but with the caveat that we move all of those to Dr. Bronhardt's lines.
Yep, you got it.
I got a second. Mr. Bailey?
I was just going to make a quick statement. I agree, I was a little bit confused with that as well when I looked at it. So, yeah, I second that.
That's not a problem, Kev, right? No?
No,
Okay.
no.
Mr. Aguirre made a motion to approve, subject to the changes he outlined, where to put the information away from the school committee line item account. Can I get a second?
Second.
I got a second. Any further discussion on item 12.7? Deb, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Aguirre?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Corey? Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Ms. Pereira? Ms. Roderick?
Yes.
Mayor Coogan?
Yes. 12.8 is a discussion and vote to approve the second quarter revolving fund as presented by Kevin Almeida, Chief Financial Officer.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion for Mr. Almeida on the revolving fund? Deb, would you please call
Mr.
the roll?
Mayor?
Mr.
Oh,
Aguirre.
I'm sorry, Mr. Aguirre.
I asked this again. The healthcare is not in here?
Not yet, but it will be.
I'll hold off. Thank you.
It will be before the end of the year. It all gets charged before the end of the year. I do it as a one-time entry.
I'm saying, is this the point of the presentation, or is there another?
No, it's the next
one.
item. Yes, sir.
Thank you. I yield.
Yep.
Deb, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Aguirre?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Corey? Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Ms. Pereira? Ms. Roderick?
Yes.
Mayor Coogan?
Yes. 12.9 is a discussion and vote to approve the year-to-date budget update as presented by Kevin Almeida, Chief Financial Officer. Mr. Almeida.
Sure. So this is the second quarter budget update for everyone. We are in a good place. I've provided you the usual documents. I've provided you with the quarterly report. I've provided you with, as requested previously, an update on the staffing agencies, where we stand, where all the staff are located, in which buildings. Provided you with an update as to the ESSER funding, and that we are on track to spend our ESSER funds before 9/30 of 2024. And finally, the last two items provided was an update on the insurance for this year, which shows that we are not quite, we are just under a little bit, not where we were at this point last year, but we are just under a little bit at this point. And finally, I provided you with an update on the administrative support, as we have for each quarterly update in all the buildings, so you can see where the consistency is across all the buildings. So with that, I'm requesting your approval for tonight, please.
Any questions for Mr. Almeida on item 12.9, the year-to-date budget update? Mr. Aguirre.
So I know you mentioned that the healthcare is close, which is better than it was in the past, but can we get an update on where we're at? Last month I talked about that the city was deficient in the 100%. Where are we at with that?
So we've spoken with the mayor. And as we met with the mayor last week, and he is looking to get over funding to us as soon as possible. But until then, once we receive the funds or once we're notified, we'll let you know. But as of yet, we have not received anything as of yet, but we have been in communication with the mayor.
Mr. Aguirre, can I give you the update? The state didn't certify the free cash yet. Should be happening within a week. It's our intention to pay 90% of what we think we owe, or 80% right now, and then finish up the rest within a month or 6 weeks. We met with Kevin the other day. As soon as that, everybody at the table agreed, as soon as that money's certified, we'll send them a check.
Yeah, it just millions, and the sooner
Yeah,
we get them.
I think we're going to send 2.5.
Yep. And along that same line, I know I've mentioned this sort of like a broken record again, that I still believe that we should be looking at a stabilization account. I know we've had differences of opinion on how, but I've asked multiple times to have meetings with the delegation, try to figure out a way to do such a thing, to keep it at 100%. We should have a place. If the mayor gives us $2.5 million or the city gives us $2.5 million now, we should have a place that we can put that $2.5 million that's school department, school committee authorized to spend without having to do any fancy stuff. And I just think that we need to do that. So the meeting with the delegation, I think I requested on a different issue, which is the McKinney-Vento transportation and circuit breaker. I don't know what the update is on that, but we really need this. If we get $2.5 million March 1st, what do we do with it?
See, I'd be perfect. It would be great in a perfect world. It would be great to just take that money and put it in stabilization. But the problem is for reporting it out in net school spending, you can't. A transfer to a stabilization account does not count towards net school spending, and because we're not at 100% of net school spending, that would only make the problem worse and just kick it down the road. So
I grant you, I understand that.
yeah, so that's the only reason.
But the only way around that, to make your perfect world be actually a reality, is to work with the legislature.
Correct.
To say, here's what the dilemma is, try to figure out a way that we can do it. When you go down the road to Diamond can do it. Because the regulations allow for a certain amount of money to be able to put into that. So if Diamond can do it with there's a way to do it, I'm sure. It's just that we have to go to them and say, here's what our dilemma is, and the state puts away money in a rainy day fund.
Yep.
Why the hell wouldn't we? That's how I see it.
I get it.
Because the budgets are going down, the state's getting cuts. Why don't we have something? So once again, I'll ask you to please set up a meeting with the delegation so that we can do this. If it's a public meeting so you can all show up, let's do it. I'll attend, but if it's not, it gets difficult with us because we're elected.
I totally get it.
I hear you. With that, I yield. Thank you very much.
Any further discussion on 12.9? Do I have a motion and second, Deb?
You do not, Mayor.
I do not. Could I get a motion second?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Deb, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Aguirre?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Corey? Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Ms. Pereira? Ms. Roderick?
Yes.
Mayor Coogan?
Yes. 13 is just informational. It's the subcommittee assignments for this year. They're in your book. We moved a few people around, but nothing too radical. I appreciate the efforts. We tried to make it a balanced year so everybody had the same amount of subcommittees. So I know you've all gotten it, so we'll go forward from there. I do have one other piece that I should read to you. It's just an informational, and this is under the informational section. We got a letter today from the second grant for the electric buses. City of Fall River was fortunate enough to receive another $3.95 million for 10 more additional clean buses, which then was triggering what we were going forward with today. It just so happened that the notice came today, so I wanted to make you all aware of it. Dear members of the school committee, last year the city received a total of $6.132740 from EPA, Mass CEC, and National Grid for the purchase of 10 electric buses, the supporting chargers, optional software, and the infrastructure. These buses and chargers have been ordered and are expected to be operational within the city by the spring. In addition, the city applied, along with several other districts, for additional funding under Round 2 of the program for an additional 10 electric buses, chargers, and infrastructure totaling $3.95 million. An award has yet to be announced. We got the award announcement today. I think it was up a little earlier on EPA, but we did gain that additional grant. Now, the EPA has announced Round 3 of grant funding under the Clean School Bus Program. This month, the city will be applying for an additional $3.45 million under Round 3 of the EPA rebate program. The Fall River grant application will continue to be coordinated by the city's grant writer and Vivo Bus Sales, our current EV school bus provider. If successful, the grant will support the replacement of an additional 10 71/77 passenger diesel buses currently being operated for regular student transportation. The grant application deadline is January 31, 2024, with an anticipated award date in April or May. The project is consistent with the city's goal to improve both air and water quality throughout the city. That was giving you guys an update on the last grant, and like I said today, we did get the notification that we were awarded the additional money for the other buses. So that's a very good day for the city of Fall River. And with that, I would have been remiss if I didn't read the subcommittee assignments. I'm sorry. Does anybody have any questions on the buses? I know, yes, Mr. Aguirre?
Just the first paragraph talks about them being ready in the spring. But I recall that we were in a tremendous urgency in August or something like that to approve some kind of money or something.
No.
Why is it that we were in such a rush and now they're not here until the spring?
No, it's not. I don't think it was. We didn't approve any money. It was a grant we got, but we were moving on it with our vendors. I will be. I would like to ask Mr. Pacheco. He may know more about it. Are we going to have 10 new buses in the spring, or are they? I thought they were going to come out in a drip fashion. Here's 3. Here's 4. I didn't know they were coming 10 in the spring.
So, from what I understand, this is 3 opportunities, 3 separate opportunities, and done in at least 2 different ways. So the first round, we did the bidding process to a vendor as a city, came up with the vendor, which was DeVito, and those buses were being built and are going to be ready to be delivered sometime in the spring.
Okay.
The infrastructure work, which is being done in Westport, that work has been approved by the different agencies that need to approve underground utility work, and are looking to start that construction. I'm not quite sure if it's going to be a midwinter. It's probably about 2 weeks worth of work, but I'm not sure when it's going to actually start. So the buses can't be delivered until the charging stations is ready to receive them. So the holdup will be whether or not we have buses before the charging stations are ready, or whether the charging stations will be ready and those buses will be delivered to us. The EPA, along with other organizations, would like the buses to be here as soon as possible so we can do some test runs on the buses with different weather. So the uncertainty of electric buses is how is it going to react to the cold, and is it going to be a burden or is it going to be a drain on the charge, and how long of a distance and time those buses are going to be able to run. So we're going to accept those buses based on the fact that they were designed using the design specs that were given to us for our area. What we want to see is if that matches the production that we're looking for out of those buses. And if we're scheduled to get, for an example, and this is not the right number, if we're scheduled to go 184 miles on a charge, and in the middle of the winter, we find that we can't go but 124 or 128, and that's going to change how we use those buses. The buses that we are expecting are a smaller bus, a 48, 52 passenger bus. Currently, we use those for our pre-K pickup and drop-off. So that's 3 times a day as opposed to 2 times a day. So there's the draw that we're concerned with, and whether or not it can perform like the manufacturer is saying they can under these conditions. So That long story, basically, we don't have the buses yet. The buses will be delivered in one lump sum. They were built and are going to be delivered in one lump sum. We were originally told that they were going to come in one or two at a time.
Yeah.
And the manufacturing has been built up so much, running 3 shifts at factories, that now they're going to deliver the whole package to us at one time.
Okay.
So that'll be the first 10, and then the rest of the process will follow suit, except the fact that the bidding process is different. The second award was done through a manufacturer, a distributor, as opposed to us doing the bidding process, so it'll be a little more streamlined. And the second buses will be, again, going to the same vendor, so the infrastructure will already be in place. The third round, if we get that, will be different, because we're not looking to do that size bus anymore. We're looking to do our typical buses, which is 71, 77 passenger.
I'll let Mr. Aguirre finish. Mr.
Yeah,
Aguirre?
just, I thought that it was a rush to get something done. I thought it was going to happen sooner. But when you were just speaking, I kept on saying to myself, are we just trialing these out? You know, like I didn't really feel confident that this is going to work. And then the other pieces of it, don't they have to give their buses back or something? They have to turn a bus in.
Right, so they've already
So-
done that. So the bus companies have done the VIN numbers. So on the acceptance of the bus, from my understanding of what I've read, the acceptance of the bus is putting the bus in service. So when that bus goes into service, they have to give up their other buses. They haven't given them up yet. So it won't happen until there's an even exchange
Yeah,
of
no,
the
I was
buses.
saying if they gave them back then, and then you realize, oh, we can't do the 180 miles as your example, I guess they might have reserve buses, but it just
Yeah, and
made me question.
Right.
I've questioned this right from the start, but it made me question it even more. And then the savings that would come from it wouldn't, if they don't have their electric buses until March, April, May, you know, for a couple of months, there's really not much of a savings here. And do you know when these buses' useful life is over?
It's about, I think it's a 10-year before it's, the useful life on most buses are 10 years, 12 years, and some are a little different, but not much from there. But the difference with this is that's a battery life, and they're saying that the battery life could be up to 10 years.
And what happens when
Then
that
they
ends?
exchange the whole array of batteries
And
would be
who's going to
exchanged.
pay at that point?
So that, at that point, the city will have to make a decision, since it's their lease, as to what happens at the end of that useful life, or what happens at the end of the contract. The bus company has a 5-year contract. Whether the useful life is 10 years, the buses are owned by the city of Fall River.
Right, you know what I'm
As a
saying,
lease.
but then
I
at
know
the end of
exactly
that,
what you're saying. Yeah,
it's
it's-
talking about a fiscal cliff.
Right.
Because if we say we're saving the money, then we're going to buy all new buses, that contract's going to go up. So I just have a lot of questions on it, and I would just ask that this, as we proceed, that I believe that this falls under facilities and operations,
It does.
So we
Transportation does.
that in
yes.
the spring we have a meeting about it. With that,
Sure.
I yield. Thank you.
Anything further on that? Again, let me read the subcommittee assignments. I was remiss in doing that. Evaluation AIP, Shelley Pereira Chair, Bobby Bailey, Sarah Rodrigues. Facilities and Operations, Mimi Larrabee Chair, Kevin Aguirre, and Tom Corey. Finance is the Committee of the Whole. Grievance, Bobby Bailey Chair, Kevin Aguirre, Mimi Larrabee. Parent and Community Outreach, Sarah Rodrigues Chair, Bobby Bailey, Tom Corey. Instructional, Mimi Larrabee Chair, Sarah Rodrigues, Shelley Pereira. Special Education, Alternative Education and Early College, Kevin Aguirre Chair, Shelley Pereira, Tom Corey. Policy, Tom Corey Chair, Shelley Pereira, Sarah Rodrigues. And Technology, Kevin Aguirre Chair, Bobby Bailey, and Mimi Larrabee. Also on the agenda tonight, item 14, we have a number of, obviously, some resignations, retirements, and appointments. Looking for a motion and a second on all that.
Motion to approve 14.1, 14.2, 14.3, and 14.4.
Can I get a second? I got a second. Any discussion? Deb, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Agia?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey? Mr. Corey? Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Ms. Pereira? Ms. Rodrigues?
Yes.
Mayor Coogan?
Yes. Any new business to come before the committee? Mr. Aguirre?
It's not new business, but I know I mentioned this several times about the superintendent's evaluation, and I think it would be appropriate to let her explain what that status is, so it's not lingering out there, not just my opinion. You don't have to say anything if you don't want, but
No,
I know we had a conversation, and I'd like you to at least be able to share.
Absolutely. Ms. Cabral is in the process of scheduling it. We're hoping that we're going to have it set up before our February meeting, and it will be completed before then. So it will, she's polling the members on that subcommittee, and we'll get it scheduled and completed.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Anything further? We have a request for executive session. Mr. Assad, would you like to read the request, please?
Mass General Laws, Chapter 38, Section 21A7, to review and approve the executive session minutes for December 11, 2023, regular school committee meeting. Mass General Laws, Chapter 38, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation, including the civil action regarding Taryn Camara versus the City of Fall River et al., United States District Court, District of Massachusetts, docket number 1:21CV 10117-WGY, as the chair has determined that open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the school committee. Mass General Laws, Chapter 38, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining agreement, including hearing grievances relative to all professional teaching employees of the Fall River school system, including coaches, Title I teachers, nurses, occupational and physical therapists, and specialists in the teaching profession, represented by the Fall River Educators Association, as the chair has determined that an open session may have a detrimental impact on the bargaining position of the committee. Mass General Laws, Chapter 38, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining relative to all administrators and employees represented by the Fall River Administrators Association, as the chair has determined that an open session may have a detrimental impact on the bargaining position of the committee. Mass General Laws, Chapter 38, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining relative to all cafeteria employees of the Fall River school system, represented by the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, Council 93, Local 1118, as the chair has determined that an open session may have a detrimental impact on the bargaining position of the committee. Mass General Laws, Chapter 38, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining relative to all maintenance employees of the Fall River school system, represented by the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, Council 93, Local 1118, as the chair has determined that an open session may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the committee. Mass General Laws, Chapter 38, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining relative to all custodial employees of the Fall River school system, represented by the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, Council 93, Local 1118, as the chair has determined that an open session may have a detrimental impact on the bargaining position of the committee. Mass General Laws, Chapter 38, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining relative to all safety and security employees of the Fall River school system, represented by the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, Council 93, Local 1118. Mass General Laws, Chapter 38, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining relative to all clerical employees of the Fall River school system, represented by the Fall River Department of Civil Service Clerical Employees Association, as the chair has determined that open session may have a detrimental impact on the bargaining position of the committee. Mass General Laws, Chapter 38, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining relative to all paraprofessionals employees of the Fall River school system, represented by the Fall River Federation of Paraprofessionals, as the chair has determined that open session may have a detrimental impact on the bargaining position of the committee. Mass General Laws, Chapter 38, Section 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations and with non-union personnel and/or to conduct contract negotiations with non-union personnel, including Kevin Almeida, Chief Financial Officer. We will reconvene, and there may or may not be statements at that time.
Can I get a motion and a second to go into executive session?
Motion approved.
Second.
Deb, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Agia?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey? Yes. Mr. Corey? Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Ms. Pereira? Ms. Rodrick?
Yes.
Mayor Coogan?
Yes, in executive session, recess. Regular meeting. Deb, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Agia?
Here.
Mr. Bailey?
Here.
Mr. Corey? Ms. Larrabee?
Here.
Ms. Pereira? Ms. Rodrick?
Here.
Mayor Coogan?
Here. Anything further to come before the committee?
Yes, Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to approve the executive session minutes for December 11th, 2023.
I have a motion, a second. Any discussion on the minutes? Deb, please call the roll.
Mr. Agia?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Corey? Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Ms. Pereira? Ms. Roderick?
Yes.
Mayor Coogan?
Yes. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. Deb, please call the roll.
Mr. Agia?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Corey? Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Ms. Pereira? Ms. Roderick?
Yes.
Mayor Coogan?
Yes.